Montana, I'm Jason Hurst. As you pour your coffee and make breakfast, let's get you ready to take on your Monday. Coming up over the next half hour, a 10th Circuit Court decision on corner crossing could have an impact in Montana. NBC Montana spoke with a professional to learn more. Plus, a family from Plains say they feel targeted after a racial slur was written on their property, how the family is reacting to the incident. And one sanctuary in Arley works to provide a safe and secure place for horses in need. Coming up, Kevin Mackey will share this story in this week's Montana Moment.
Well, the time is 6:31, and we are starting out with temperatures in the 50s for Missoula and Bozeman. 50 right now, Missoula, 52 in Bozeman. A little bit of wet weather out there this morning, at least west of the Divide. Kalispell, Seeley Lake region through the Mission Valley. Missoula at times, we've had a little bit of wet weather. Mountain passes like Lookout and Lolo Pass just receiving some rainfall this morning, creating kind of a soggy travel day for us. Temperatures at around lunchtime, 49, still hanging on to a couple of isolated showers in the Missoula area. 52 at 5 p.m. today. For Bozeman, mostly cloudy to cloudy skies. Temperatures right around that 50-degree mark for us by noon. It'll be breezy for you this afternoon. Then as we head into your Tuesday and Wednesday, we're tracking near record warmth. I'll tell you how long it's going to last with your 10-day forecast coming up in the morning spread.
Corner crossing is the legal gray area to accessing public lands that are blocked off by private property. Recently, a federal appeals court said a group of hunters were not trespassing when trying to get to public land. NBC Montana's Bowen West explores the potential impacts in Montana.
Makes a big difference for, it's not just the people in the states under the tent, it's everybody who owns public land, which is every U.S. citizen.
Corner crossing is when someone moves from one parcel of land to another with the goal of avoiding the private property. In many instances, a ladder is used. A 3-judge panel with the U.S. 10th Circuit Court of Appeals sided with 4 hunters in a supposed trespassing case. Backcountry hunters and anglers wrote an amicus brief in the lawsuit.
Tell me about your reaction to the news about this decision in the 10th Circuit.
Could not be more excited. It reaffirms a lot of things that we hold dear and have been fighting for years.
While this decision only affects states within the 10th Circuit, it could have a ripple effect. It's called persuasive authority. It's when other courts, when faced with similar cases, will look to previous decisions to see if they want to use a similar rationale.
This one's strengthened even more because it was a 3-judge panel that made that determination, and they all agreed. There was nothing split in this decision.
The law is still gray here in Montana, but this decision does reinforce the Unlawful Enclosures Act.
For someone in a state like Montana, where we still don't have cut and dry law, it's not entirely advisable to just go start popping corners because we don't know. But if a landowner is actually blocking that corner, this case provides a roadmap.
If you want to read more about this story or any of my previous coverage on corner crossing, make sure to visit NBCMontana.com. Reporting in Sanders County, Bowen West, NBC Montana.
In Plains, one local family says they felt targeted from a racial slur that was written on their property. The Harris family has lived in Plains for a long time. Micah Harris raised her daughter here, and that's why it was a huge shock to find her family sign vandalized with a racial slur one day after work. The family has never experienced an aggressive attack like this before. Micah's daughter is now nervous about returning home. The family did file a police report, and the Sanders County Sheriff's Office confirmed that this is still an ongoing investigation.
I felt maybe we were kind of past this. I mean, I've lived here my whole life, and we've had little microaggressions here and there, but then to see it happen again in 2025 was just really disheartening.
On a positive note, the community came together in responding with kindness by getting the family new surveillance equipment for their property, and a craftsman created a new sign for the property. Frenchtown Rural Fire District Chief Joseph Callinan is retiring after more than a decade of service. Callinan served in the Coast Guard before joining the fire district back in 2012. In a Facebook post thanking the chief, Frenchtown Rural Fire District says Callinan transformed Frenchtown Fire into a stronger, more professional and community-focused organization. The district says the chief improved emergency response, the relationship with the community, and acquired new equipment. Senator Steve Daines is praising the federal government for making a pay raise for wildland firefighters permanent. Daines thanked President Donald Trump and Interior Secretary Doug Burgum for carrying out legislation on the permanent raise pushed by Daines, and the pay increase was included in the recently passed continuing resolution, which kept the government open. Daines advocated for a successful 2021 effort to temporarily increase wildland firefighter pay. President Trump convenes his cabinet today as protests grow over government cuts and increasing prices from new tariffs. Democrats are trying to find their footing in opposition to the White House agenda. Administration lawyers will be back in court today to defend their controversial moves on immigration. NBC's Alice Barr has more from Washington.
Requested that
President Trump holding his next cabinet meeting today after the last one led to reported rifts between a few cabinet secretaries and billionaire cost cutter Elon Musk.
Elon, pay taxes.
Over the weekend, some of the biggest protests yet to government cuts.
This is just craziness happening right now, and we're just fighting back.
I will yell to the top of my lungs, we the people.
Progressive Senator Bernie Sanders and Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez drawing tens of thousands against the Trump team's Washington overhaul.
The people of America are going to stand up to Trumpism.
Resign! The people say it's time!
As Democrats search for direction with protests outside the home of the Senate's top Democrat, Chuck Schumer, after he backed a Republican funding bill to prevent a government shutdown.
Look, I'm not stepping down.
Promising to fight harder.
Donald Trump is a lawless, angry man. He thinks he should be king.
That as the Trump administration is ramping up attacks on judges and lawyers who stood in the way of the president's agenda, vowing to take a fight to the Supreme Court over the deportations of alleged Venezuelan gang members to El Salvador under a rarely used 1798 law.
There are 261 reasons why Americans are safer today, and that's because those people are now in an El Salvador prison.
While deporting another group of Venezuelan migrants Sunday, including alleged gang members, directly to Venezuela.
We're going to continue to arrest public safety threats and national security threats.
After that country's leader agreed to resume taking in its citizens under the threat of more U.S. sanctions. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
And now Chief Meteorologist Brooke Foster is standing by. And here comes Brooke. We're clowning around back here because we're all teasing about my voice. So you're like, what is he sounding like that? It's the change in temperatures, right, Brooke? That's what I'm blaming.
Right, that's what I'm going to blame, too. It's just a change in season for us around western Montana, and that's what we're seeing this morning. A little bit of wet weather in the form of rainfall. I know we had some snow over the weekend that really impacted your travel. This morning, we've got some soggy conditions. Kiddos are reaching for the rain gear this morning in the Missoula area. It's our Clearwater Credit Union weather camera this morning in Missoula. We are waking up with temperatures that are pretty mild out. In fact, we've got temperatures this morning in the 50s for the Missoula area, currently sitting at that 50-degree mark. Well, we're going to drop into the mid-40s by around sunrise. Now, we do have some active weather on tap for the end of the work week, but before we get to the end of the week, we've got a nice warm-up. Everything you need to know is coming up in about 10 minutes.
And coming up, one sanctuary in Arley works to provide a safe and secure place for horses in need. Coming up, Kevin Mackey will share that story in this week's Montana Moment. And let's take a live look over Missoula above TV Mountain at Snowbowl from the Community Medical Center weather camera. Chief Meteorologist Brooke Foster has your day plan right after the break.